What's up? Today I will be reviewing Beartooth's debut full-length album, Disgusting, which is going to be out June 10th. And if you don't know Beartooth, it's Caleb Shomo, the old screamer keyboardist of Attack Attack. This is his new band that he made when he left Attack Attack and when Attack Attack stopped making music and everything. Opener for this album is The Lines. It's definitely an amazing intro. It kicks in with ear-shattering screams and punching guitars. I like the smoothness but edginess of Caleb's clean vocals in this song. They go really well with the screams. I love the creepy breakdown towards the end of the song. The guitars give this really unique sound where they're kind of long and then they like bend the strings to give that really eerie sound. I really enjoyed that, and they did that a lot on this record with the breakdowns. Definitely one of my favorites. It was really a great way to open up this album. Beaten in Lips is the next track, and its disturbing lyrics combined with its rapid attitude embody the true beginning of an album reflecting passion that's mostly driven by clean vocals. Surprised with another awesome breakdown, this is a really good ideal song for a listener that's new to Beartooth like I was. I really enjoyed this song, and it's definitely a perfect little package of what Beartooth is and what the album will sound like. Body Bag is the next track. The guitar and bass work well together to create a great opening riff for the song. The screams are driven by mainly heavier guitars, and they also have some nice melodic cleans as well that make the song easier to sing along to when you hear it. The main focal point of this song is definitely the guitars. They're really in your face and make this another memorable song off of the album. In Between is probably has the most memorable melodic clean vocals. It has more of a poppy chorus in it, but it definitely is heavy in the verses. I like how it easily transitions from heavy to poppy when you go from verses to chorus. It just goes along nicely and isn't really this awkward transition. It's definitely a song you probably wouldn't expect to be on this album based on the previous tracks before it. Relapsing has distortion in the guitars that help make this song become more darker, especially in the verses. This song has some of Caleb's best screams in it. They get so raw and you can feel every ounce of aggression and pain that he's gone through, but lyrically this is definitely one of the more uplifting songs on the album. Ignorance is Bliss is the next song, and there's certain parts of this song that have punk rock influenced vocals. It seems to go back and forth on being a punk and hardcore song. The chorus is more punk, whereas the verses have more of that hardcore sound in it. So it's kind of interesting to hear both genres kind of combined in one. It almost reminds me of the band Counterparts. Not necessarily everything about Counterparts sounds like the song, but it's that same kind of style where it's like hardcore punk. I Have a Problem is a song that's talking about addiction, specifically an alcohol addiction. The lyrics are sick and twisted, but they get stuck in your head when the clean vocals hit at the chorus. Makes it become a very catchy but heavy song. Definitely some of the best heavy moments are on this song, with Caleb belting out the words knowing that he's screwed up, and the sinister guitar riffs that show up at the breakdown. And then it transitions into the next song very nicely, which is One More. It has more of a rock feel, especially when you hear the clean vocals. Then it has an interesting heavy guitar riff during the more musical moments of this song. It's mostly driven by Caleb's cleans. It transitions nicely into more raw screams, and towards the end when you hear him just screaming with the echoes of the song, it becomes more real, raw, and emotional, and a very powerful song. Me in My Own Head is a fast-paced heavy song that reminds me of To Speak of Wolves. It's a band that I really love because they're so emotional, especially the screamer. He's one of the most raw, emotional screamers I've ever heard, and Caleb definitely sounds like him on this song. It definitely reminds me of him, and a few other tracks too. I felt like they almost were influenced by To Speak of Wolves. I don't necessarily know if they are, but that would be really cool if they were, because both screamers have that same style. I love how Caleb is switching quickly from cleans to screams, and how his cleans show more range and he can do more style on this song. It mainly focuses on the difference between the cleans and the screams, and it goes back and forth between them a lot and bounces back between both a lot, and I really enjoyed how it did that on the song. Keep Your American Dream features echoed chanting vocals and more moderate but active guitar components. I like the message the song portrays. It gives a different perspective on what the American dream is, and the song is kind of just one big anthem, and it ties all the way around to create an amazing song. Dead is the next track on this album. Has the best gut-wrenching screams that I've ever heard from Caleb. He really gives it his all on this song, and this is where he really shines when it comes to screaming. There's so much dynamic in his screams that help this song become one of the more interesting songs on the entire album. It's short, sweet, and heavy, and to the point. The record ends on a more emotional, tense note with Sick and Disgusting. He starts singing / talking at the beginning of the song like he's talking to himself, and the song is probably the more heavier song lyrically. It's the more emotional song. It's definitely like angry but has a melancholy type feel to it. I also really like the way he's screaming in this song. It almost reminds me of Jonathan Davis from Korn. It sounds like he's on the verge of psychotic, but also he feels very desperate, and you can really see that a lot on this song. And it's definitely a good way to end the album, and it wraps things up really nicely about what this album's about. This album really does pack it all in. Caleb Shomo's bravery to place an entire album built upon his journey. Mental well-being is one that has paid off in exceptional style. Although backed up by musical talent, create a bold, honest, Beartooth tone. Each song flows extremely well into the next, and all of them relate back to the title of this album. The breakdowns are so dark and creepy but unique, and show how they're not your typical generic hardcore band. Each song is really raw and is not so focused on overproduction like most hardcore albums are. Album Review TV said this really nicely, talking about hardcore and metalcore bands, and talking about how it seems like the new thing for them to talk about is overcoming something, or just trying to make uplifting lyrics in every song, and that gets really stale really easily. And I think with what Beartooth's doing, instead of just saying you're gonna get through this, it's just talking about what's happening now, the situation you're going through, and hopefully you can get through it, but you don't necessarily know yet. This creates a more emotional, raw album. This is basically what I can describe them as. I definitely think they're going to get bigger, and I really hope they do, because they're so unique and they're so different compared to the hardcore bands out there today. And they really did put their full effort in on this album, and you can really see that. So my rating for this album is a 10 out of 10, perfect score. I really love this album. There's not one song in this album I dislike. Every song is beautiful in its own way, and so raw and so angry, but so emotional and sad at the same time. Comment down below and let me know what you guys thought of the album. Like this video if you liked it, you know, thumbs me up there. That's not weird. My other two channels down below. I also did a more recent video on my Sarah Films channel. I did a best friend tag video. If you guys want to check that out, I will put an annotation right here, and you guys can check it out because I worked really hard on it. And it was 25 minutes of footage that I edited down to 11 minutes. Follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. Those are all down below. Anyways, stay tuned for more reviews, guys. I really enjoyed this album. It really surprised me with how powerful it was, and I'm definitely going to see these guys at Warped Tour.